I was chatting to someone recently about EVs, as I often do, and they asked an interesting question. What could they get to replace their car for about £15,000? That seemed like an interesting challenge, so let's have a look today. What I think will make this a bit of a challenge is the format of the car we're after. The person in question drives a very large hatchback, as they want to be able to transport 4 or 5 adults in comfort. The requirements that we're setting are therefore a large hatchback, roughly 4.8 metres long, a £15,000 budget, fully electric, with a range of at least 200 miles. The best way to tackle this seems to be to head to Auto Trader and have a look what we can get for the money on the second-hand market. We start by entering a somewhat random postcode, because it doesn't matter, but Auto Trader insists on one. Silly Auto Trader. Next, we set our maximum price to £15,000 and we choose the body type of hatchback. Select the fuel type of electric and start with a range of 250 plus miles. What do we get? Okay, so we get a few Tesla Model S. However, they are very old and very high mileage. Tesla were just finding their feet in those early days, so I think we should set a limit of 4 years old. Okay, so that removes all of the Tesla Model S, leaving us with some Volkswagen ID.3. The ID.3 is said to be quite big on the inside, and so that might actually be an option. The EV drivetrain, you see, takes a bit less space than an ICE drivetrain, so a car designed specifically as an EV will have a bit more space on the inside than an equivalent ICE car. So, is that our answer? Well, the ID.3 is under 4.3 metres long. Volkswagen like to say it's the size of a Passat on the inside, which is just under 4.8 metres. I don't know, it feels like we're cheating a bit. And we're also looking at high mileage cars here. The mileage on the EV drivetrain isn't likely to be all that serious a problem, I'd expect. But the suspension and drive shafts might start to wear at some point. So let's set a limit of 40,000 miles. If we repeat that search, we now have no useful results. Okay, we need to get a bit creative. In what way do we need to tweak our filters in order to put something on our shortlist? Can we think of anything that closely matches the brief but doesn't exactly fit the filters we've set so far? Well, the Polestar 2 looks like a big hatchback to me, but it is classed as an SUV, as so many things are at the moment, for marketing reasons. Can we get one of those in budget? No, unfortunately Polestar 2 start at about £22,500, so that excludes them. So what should we try next? What other hatchback-like cars are there? Well, there is the Nissan Leaf, but that's only 4.4 metres long. It's a bit small. More importantly, I do not really recommend the Leaf, as it suffers quite badly from battery degradation because it has no battery cooling. What other hatchbacks are there? Well, there's the Renault Zoe, but that's far too small. There's the MG4, that's too expensive and also too small. There's a relative newcomer, the Peugeot E308. That's smaller than I thought, at less than 4.4 metres, and far too new. £30,000 for the few that exist on the second-hand market. Other Stellantis cars all feel too small. The Vauxhall Corsa and the Peugeot E208 are the same size as the Zoe, more or less. The Vauxhall Mokka is also quite small, as are the Citroën EC4 and the DS3. The Vauxhall Astra hasn't been around long enough to be anything like in budget, and that is also a bit too small for what we want. BMW and Mercedes both offer saloons, but they are all out of reach. They completely blow the budget. What other brands can we look at? How about Ford? The Ford Mustang Mach-E is quite a big car, but they start at £25,000, so they are out of budget as well. and we've strayed into the SUV category. But speaking of SUVs, is there anything in this area that's hatchback-like but classified as an SUV like the Polestar 2? Okay, I'll tell you what is big. That's a Kia EV6. No, that's way too expensive, starting at almost £28,000. They're still quite new and they are holding their value really well. What about the Kia EV6's siblings? Hyundai Ioniq 5. Well, they are cheaper, starting at just over £23,000, but still too expensive. The other similar car, built on the same platform, is the Genesis GV60, but there aren't any of those listed for under £30,000, so that's no good. The cheaper Kia is the e-Niro, or the Niro EV as it was always called elsewhere, and has become called in later generations now here. That's 4.3 metres long, and those are still £17,000, as well as completely cheating on the body type. That's a pure SUV and nothing else. What we really need is something a bit older. Right, how about the Jaguar I-Pace? They have been around a little bit longer, so maybe they fall in budget. But no, they are all still above £19,000. The Tesla Model 3 has been around a long time, but anything of reasonable age and mileage is still £19,000 or more. And of course, a saloon isn't really going to hit the mark. We do like our hatchbacks in the UK and in Europe. The Tesla Model Y is a better fit from the perspective of the body type, but it's far too new here in the UK, and so they are all more than £33,000. That's no good at all. What else is hatchback-like in the SUV category? Well, the Skoda Enyaq is classed as an SUV, but it's a bit lower than an SUV in my opinion. Does that work for us? No, they are all £20,000 or more. Oh, but wait, the Enyaq is a bit like an estate. Right, so an estate car, is that something we can find? Of course. The estate car, the only one, officially speaking, just at the moment. The MG5. Now, just over 4.5 metres, it's not the ideal size, but it's a lot closer to what we want. And we can get a long range variant with its 61 kilowatt hour battery for under £15,000. That's got to be the thing we consider. I think at the moment the MG5 is the best we can do. We have had to cheat a bit by going for an estate car, not a hatchback, but we did at least find something. The problem with this search has been finding anything big enough, especially a hatchback. Large hatchbacks are fairly rare at the moment in the EV space. It would be interesting to see what the Volkswagen ID.7 can be bought for in 3 or 4 years. It's a luxury car, and luxury cars seem to suffer worse depreciation than more reasonably priced cars. However, it might not depreciate fast enough to make it onto the list, even if we repeated this exercise in 3 years' time. Just at the moment, we do have some segments and variants that are not really well catered for when looking for EVs. Large hatchbacks is one. There aren't many estate cars either just yet, and soft tops are pretty much non-existent. We're missing offerings from some of the Japanese manufacturers. They are late to the EV game and have been caught with their pants down a little bit, although there are new Chinese brands that are going to swoop in and fill that void. So we can't yet fulfill searches for every budget, and some styles of car are less well served than others just at the moment. Bear in mind though that there are savings to be made in running costs if you can charge at home. So it's worth doing a check on the total cost of ownership of the car when deciding whether you can afford one. It might be worth increasing your budget just a little bit to see if you can get what you want for the same overall cost over the car's time with you. Thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this whistle-stop tour of some of the makes and models available on the second-hand market here in the UK. Do you think I missed any? Add anything you think of in the comments below, along with any questions you might have on this subject. If you've liked the video, then it's a help to me if you click the thumbs up button. That tells YouTube that you've enjoyed it, and YouTube may promote the video to others based upon that. And of course, click subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks.